Keto Freaks. This is Carl. Do you or someone you know have trouble focusing? You know what I'm talking about. You sit down to read something, try to figure out your monthly budget, write that novel you've been putting off, or maybe you just can't seem to do one task at a time. Well, you may not know this, but I'm a musician as well as a software developer. Programming is a job that requires focus, long periods of uninterrupted work. It's hard for them and for you. I've created Music to Code By. This is music, yes, but it's specifically and scientifically designed to promote focus. Studies show that when math students were exposed to Baroque music between 60 and 80 beats per minute, they did better with comprehension and testing. So I created more modern music that is neither boring nor distracting, but falls within that tempo range. It's just the right mix. I also made the pieces 25 minutes long. That correlates to research that shows we all get brain fatigue after 20 or so minutes of hard focus. The result is thousands of happy customers. Now, you don't have to be a programmer to reap the benefits of Music to Code By. It has been known to soothe restless pets, calm fussy babies, and even help autistic kids relax and fall asleep. Listen to some free samples at musictocodeby.net. Welcome back to Two Keto Dudes. This is Carl Franklin in Connecticut in the United States. And in February of 2016, I put myself on a ketogenic diet to take control of my metabolism. In just 2.5 months, I managed to reverse all my markers of type 2 diabetes with diet alone. As of now, I'm 70-ish pounds lighter with no signs of diabetes or heart disease.
Hi, I'm Richard Morris in Canberra, Australia. I've been on a ketogenic diet for over 2 years. When I started, I was very sick with complications from type 2 diabetes. Within 6 months of starting a ketogenic diet, all of my biomarkers of disease had disappeared. I've also lost about 70 pounds and I've completely turned my health around.
And this show is a document of not only my progress through nutritional ketosis, but Richard's experience thriving for years in ketosis.
Yeah.
And hopefully that might help a few people who are curious about this kind of dietary hacking.
Sure, we're not doctors. We don't want to give anyone any medical advice, but we are keen to share our own experiences. We're actually both software developers, so we're not afraid of a little technical detail, are we, Carl?
Nah.
Now, we've done some research into our own deranged metabolisms and the science behind them. We hope to share some of that research. Where possible, we intend to put links in the show notes to cite research supporting any claim that we make.
And you'll probably work out pretty quickly that we're both foodies.
Sure are.
We love to cook and we love to eat. And we also share the great food we eat on this diet. Every show, we each share a recipe for a keto meal that we love.
Sure do.
Yeah. So, Richard, let's start Two Keto Dudes, episode 31, Paying It Back.
Paying it back, yeah.
Well, Richard, do we have any corrections or apologies from last week's show?
Yeah, Carl, you probably remember we spoke about Beverly's husband who had the late night low glucose event.
Sure.
Well, we both said that he could have eaten a small bit of fruit to get his blood sugar up. And while that's true, somebody, Andrew, in our forum suggested a better option. A spoonful of coconut oil goes directly to the liver to be burned for energy. And if your insulin is low, the fat will be partially burned, releasing ketones, and ketones will support your brain's need for energy. And that means that if you've got circulating ketones, then low glucose does not necessarily mean that your brain is running out of energy. So you won't have hypo effects.
Yeah. Also, we incorrectly tallied Tom Naughton's quiz score at 5 out of 10. He actually got only 4 out of 10
Ouch.
correct. And maybe that's a good thing. Come to think
Sorry
of
about
it.
that, Tom.
Yeah. So let's reprise. What's a ketogenic diet? Well, a ketogenic diet is any diet that puts you in a state of nutritional ketosis.
Sure.
We get there by eating less than 20 grams of carbs per day.
Yep.
And we follow the Volek and Finney measurements of 1 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of lean muscle mass.
For protein. Yep.
Protein. And the rest of it comes from fat, either fat that we eat or from that Krispy Kreme we ate a decade ago.
Yeah, that Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, so how you been this week, buddy?
Yeah, actually, I've had an interesting week. I did a 50K bike ride yesterday and felt really comfortable for most of the ride. But then about 2 or 3 hours afterwards, all of a sudden I had this massive knee pain. Wow. Now, I've got a torn meniscus in one knee, and for the whole time that I've been keto, I've almost not felt that injury at all. It's almost as if I didn't have any knee problem at all. And the only two exceptions to that were one time at a wedding I ate some carbs, and that night I had massive knee pain. And then the other time was just after this ride. It was just 2 hours after the ride. I'd cooled down after the ride and I was feeling really good. And then all of a sudden, this massive knee pain. Wow. I had ice on it. I had to take analgesics to try and numb the pain. And then I had a little bit of coconut oil, hoping that maybe if I increased my ketones that I might feel a bit better. But I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to sleep because of the pain. But the ice helped a little bit. And I woke up and I've got absolutely no sensation of pain at all in the knee. It's like it was perfect, like it was 2 days ago. So
isn't that crazy?
I don't know what happened there, but it's like I just got a brief memory of my pre-keto aches and pains.
Yeah.
And I really don't like them. So
wow.
So that was one thing. And the other thing that's really strange is, I did the 7-day fast over a week ago.
Yeah.
And I lost 10 pounds from the fast and then put 5 pounds back on again. Yeah. Well, I was down net 5 pounds. In the week since then, I've put on an additional 5 pounds, so I'm back to where I started. So it looks like my body is really trying to stick at this weight range. It's fighting me. This is a weight range that it's willing to defend.
Well, I'll tell you, that happened to me after the last 7-day fast too.
Really?
It pretty much all came back on. However, Kelly noticed that I'm thinner. Like, I haven't been measuring myself, but my wife does a measurement by, giving me a hug and seeing where her fingers meet.
Yep.
So she's been keeping track and so there's been a reshifting of, maybe it's muscle mass, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there's been definitely a reshifting of fat, muscle, and water.
I wonder if the body tries to equalize the weight, because it's got to be quite expensive to reprogram the brain to deal with a different weighted body. And as you go through puberty and you're shooting up very quickly, how you get ungainly because your legs and arms are just growing faster than your brain can reprogram its ability. I wonder if the body tries to stabilize at a particular weight range because it knows that the cost of reprogramming things every 5 seconds as you change weight.
Maybe.
So I don't know. It's just a hypothesis, but it's.
I don't know either. I've taken a more hands-off and less stress approach to the ketogenic diet since I started.
Yeah.
When I started, it was all about how fast can I lose weight, you know, and if I don't lose weight fast enough, I'm going to freak out and somehow go off the diet, which was my MO for many, many years. Right. Yeah. My problem, of course, is I was a carb addict like just about everybody else. And I think I told this story that I actually got up once at 3 a.m, put pants on, got in my car and drove to Burger King.
Oh, man.
3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
And I would, fast food was my sort of go-to meal just about all the time. And then, this is my pattern over the last 10 years, I would say, or more. And then I would, get sick of it and say, all right, I got to eat some low carb, because I knew all about low carb years ago. I did it in the 90s.
Right.
And that works. And then I do it for 3 days, or I did it for 3 days or so. And then, somehow just got bored, did something else, then got on the scale and was like, what's the use? I'm addicted, And then I would start the whole cycle over again. And sometimes it would take weeks to get back into it. But now, of course, that once you get fat adapted, you can if you cheat, let's say, if you eat carbs, I don't get the cravings. I don't care about the fact that I put on a little bit of weight. It doesn't matter to me. I can get back on the horse.
Yeah.
So I gave up obsessing over the weight, And I just started considering how I feel and how healthy I am. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And, if weight comes and goes a little bit, that's all right. It's obviously going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I ain't going to stress about it.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of the same. I'm actually really quite comfortable at this weight because I can actually do a lot of exercise. Everything I ask my body to do, it's capable of delivering and then some.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not that worried about it. I guess I'd like to be under 100 kilograms just to see what that's like because I've really not been there since I was 18. So that would be interesting to see that. But I guess I'm solidly built. I was a rugby player. And so, I'm probably going to always weigh a little bit heavy all my life. But in terms of body fat, I've lost a lot of body fat around my abdomen. And in the time, I guess, in the year and a half that I've been around the same weight, I lost about 10 inches in my waist.
Yeah.
So, that's a big change.
That's pretty incredible when you think about it. You've been the same weight, yet you've lost 10 inches.
Right.
So what you're essentially doing is converting that fat to muscle.
Yeah.
And, you're losing the fat, obviously, but since muscle is denser, not weighs more, denser than body fat, then,
You can take up less volume.
Yeah, you take up less volume, that's right, which is really good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So how was your week, Carl?
Well, this week was really, really great for me. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
I started exercising for the first time since February.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's almost 6 months.
Almost 6 months. I lost 76 pounds without exercise.
Wow.
Think about that for a minute.
I know. It flies in the face of reality, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And I'm not saying don't exercise. I'm just saying that I didn't. And this is what happened. So I finally, it's been beautiful weather here in New England. I finally got my recumbent tricycle. Pause for laughter. I got it dusted off. There's a community bike shop here in New London run by a friend of mine. Everybody's a volunteer. And what they do is they get local kids in junior high, high school, whatever, to go to their families and friends and ask for old bikes that they don't want anymore. They bring them down. They teach these kids how to fix them, how to service them.
Yeah.
And how to build them. And at the end of their apprenticeship, whatever that is, they get a bike out of it.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's not only a great way to pass on skills, but it's a great way to keep kids busy and off the streets and gives them a bike. And it's wonderful. So they've basically fixed it up for like $40.
Oh, wow.
And, I had a wheel that was out of alignment. My spokes weren't tight. The tires were flat. They fixed it. They put new blinky lights on it. And this is a recumbent tricycle. So it has a seat like a go-kart would have a seat.
So it's like a deck chair with pedals.
Yeah, that's right. And, I have a big, tall flag going up the back of it. And I got blinky lights everywhere. And it's just your hands are down at your sides. And then there's these gripper handles that control the steering.
Yeah.
And it's got disc brakes.
Nice.
Which get really hot.
Yeah, that
Ask
would.
me how I know.
How do you know?
I burned myself.
You touched it.
Yeah. This trike has pedals that are specifically matched to cleats that you wear. So the cleats snap into the pedals. Yeah.
Okay.
The first day I went out was last Friday, and I went 7.5 miles.
So how do you feel? That's the important thing. I mean, you've not exercised for 6 months. What was it? What was your expectation?
It's been really years since I exercised. Okay. Really, really focused exercise. And the biggest problem for me has always been, it's just wipes me out. I have no energy to sustain exercise when I'm a glucose burner.
Sure.
However, this was frickin' amazing. I could have gone on and on and on. I had no problem going up hills.
Wow.
Yeah, and before when I rode my recumbent, when I was a glucose burner, I would have to put any hill, I'd have to put it in the lowest gear and pedal real slow. And
take an hour to get up a hill. Yeah.
Yep. Nope, not at all. I'm just burning through. So the first day, 7.5 miles. The second day, almost 9 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Oh, it's so much fun.
You went from a standing start to doing over 7 miles a day.
And it's just because, like we say, once you remove the carbohydrate poison from your body, you can hear signals that your body's telling you, like eat, like I need to eat, or don't eat, or I need to move,
I've got some energy, let's use it.
I got some energy, let's use it, because you feel good when you burn energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's surprising too. I don't know about you, but for me, 20, 30 years that I was doing exercise grudgingly and hating it every time.
Yeah.
For me, it's remarkable how much I enjoy exercise.
Yeah, me
that
too.
was incredible to me.
So I'm looking forward to doing that as many days in a row as I possibly can. I took a couple days off. I had work to do, but my weight loss improved. As you would expect it to.
Yeah.
The other thing that I did, and we'll talk about this later in the show, is I hosted an event.
Oh, yeah.
And that prompted this topic, giving back. I hosted an event at my house. Local people who are interested in the ketogenic diet had seen my Facebook posts, had been amazed at what I did and how I did it.
Nice.
They want to learn, so they came over, and I made them Carl's Head Pizza. So we'll talk about that.
Nice.
But first,
we got a job to do.
It's called Mail!
Mail!
We're justified and we don't need no alibi.
Mail! All right, so the first message comes from Brian, and this is from our Facebook group, which please join us. It's at fb.2keto.com. It is closed, but all you got to do is request membership, and we're pretty good about getting people right in.
Yeah.
So Brian says, quick Facebook tip, because I remembered reading some folks mentioning this. If you don't want 2 Keto Dudes dominating your Facebook newsfeed, but still want to be a member of 2 Keto Dudes, do the following. 1, go to your newsfeed. 2, find a 2 Keto Dudes post.
There'll be one there.
Oh, yeah. Click on the gray arrow in the top right. 4, click on unfollow 2 Keto Dudes, but stay a member of the group. This will remove 2 Keto Dudes posts from your newsfeed. Then you can just click on the 2 Keto Dudes group on the left to go to it when you want to.
Yeah.
And it prompted this crazy reaction from people like, what are you,
right?
nuts? All I read is the 2 Keto Dudes newsfeed. I don't even read any of that other crap anymore.
Look, I got to say, I want to apologize on behalf of the dudes and apologize to everybody who feels overwhelmed. We actually have it's a very active news group, a very active group on Facebook, and our people generate a lot of really good content. So,
and by the way, Richard and I are also a little bit overwhelmed, right? That's why we have 5 admins.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I get over 70 notifications every day, so I'm a little bit overwhelmed by the whole thing too.
But it's awesome too. And so there's some of these reactions that I was alluding to. Teresa said, I prefer it dominating my Facebook feed, lol. John says, I enjoy that it dominates my news feed. I don't understand anybody not wanting this in their life. We need to put a plan for world domination in place, figure out how to have this dominate everybody's news feed. He's a little avid, isn't he?
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Nice, wonderful comments. And there's your instructions for how to reduce the load on your Facebook so that you can probably see.
Yeah, if you want 2 Keto Dudes on demand and not in your face, if you want to pull it instead of have it pushed on you, that's how you do it.
Awesome. So we had another message from Stephanie who said, full-time student here with a tight budget and little time. This diet plan interests me, but it's a little overwhelming with how much cooking is required. Any suggestions on where to start? I'm a carboholic and I can see myself going down the wrong path and I want to correct it before I start getting health issues at my young age. Any advice or suggestions are greatly appreciated. I've got to say, cooking is important, but you can eat keto without necessarily cooking. And if you look on Carl's blog, he has a recipe plan for people who cannot cook or will not cook or don't want to cook.
And who are addicted to McDonald's.
Right,
and basically it's you buy some Mahler's low-carb bread or another low-carb bread. Mahler's is 1 gram net per slice. And you toast it up, you put your mayo or butter on it, you head to McDonald's and you get And for breakfast, get a bagel. This was my daughter Emmy's suggestion.
Okay.
Get the bagels that have either, egg and steak and cheese, or
Nice,
cheese and bacon
yeah.
and eggs, or whatever. Get 1 or 2 of those if you want more, and throw the bagel away. It comes right off, and then you've got your sandwich. And for lunch, you can do the same thing with triple cheeseburgers or a quarter pounder, double quarter pounder with cheese. You can do that, and still, it's a great way, especially to get started with keto, but it's going to be more expensive in the long run.
Yeah, it's not a great diet either, but
it's not great, but it'll get
it is
you
ketogenic,
get you
and
going.
it'll get you going. Yeah, it'll get you in control of your carb addiction, and then once you can hear the signals, then everything starts becoming a lot easier.
I also like the plan because people want to dip their toes in without a lot of investment and in time and effort. And that's an easy way to get through the first week, which is arguably the hardest week.
Yeah, it is. It's true. A couple of the responses that came in from users, Greg said, "Hey, I'm in the same boat as you, but I started a few weeks ago. Best advice in the first few weeks is keep it simple. Use MyFitnessPal to keep track of what you're eating. After a week or two, when you start feeling like you're getting into the swing of things, you'll find it extremely easy to fast. Your body will become accustomed to burning body fat for fuel, so you won't feel weak or hungry throughout the day, which means less food, which means less food budget and less cooking."
Yeah.
Debbie said, once you have a list of stuff that you want to eat, it's really not time consuming. Steak takes minutes. Use a slow cooker to bung in ingredients and off you go. BCP if you're short on time.
Bulletproof coffee. Or keto coffee.
Keto coffee, yeah. It can be easily done. Make batches of salad. I work full time and I have 2 young kids and manage it fine. Plus, if you intend to fast, you'll be eating significantly less anyway.
Exactly.
That's true. So, and Joy said, check out YouTube channel by Butter Bob. Butter Bob makes...
butter makes your pants fall off.
Butter makes your pants fall off. He's got a great video about budget shopping. And he doesn't teach keto per se, but he does have some great tips. There's another one actually. Marty Kendall's Optimizing Nutrition has got a blog post on cheap ways of doing keto, so that's also good. Yep. Patricia said some tips I find to help me save money. Number 1, hit the Walmart deli around 8 p.m. That's when they mark the rotisserie chicken down, and they mark them down to half price. So I always buy 2 or 4.
Wow.
Number 2 tip is shop for fresh meats around 8 a.m. That's when they typically go through and mark them down. You can save a boatload even on the best cuts. And the number 3 tip is if you live in Jonesboro, ignore everything I've just said. I want all those cheap meats to myself.
Awesome. Also, we did a show on keto on a budget.
Yeah.
We'll link to all of those things in the show notes. So
Yeah. So I've got one final message, and this came from Glenn Babici in our Facebook group, and he said, "Okay, 2 keto dudes. I'm trying to maintain LCHF, that's a low-carb, high-fat diet or healthy fat diet, but I'm having difficulties with support in my family situation. So I thought if there is anyone who would like to get together occasionally for coffee or breakfast on the northern beaches of Sydney to share ideas and support each other, or even do some walks or bike ideas." And that sort of prompted the idea of this show to look at how we give back to our community, how we take what's worked for us and help other people move forward with that.
Yeah, exactly. The whole idea is that we've learned so much here. And, when you see these results over and over again, especially inspired by posts in our Facebook group and people who have the same story, I know. They're hungry. They don't know why. They think they're eating healthy. They're not. And they're just getting more and more sick and nothing's moving and nothing's happening. And they're disillusioned, basically, just like we were. It says right on our homepage, we both feel like we've been fooled.
Yeah.
And this is what people feel like. They don't trust doctors. They don't trust diet advice. And you really want to get together with these people and help them and teach them and to give back. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
And so over the last couple of weeks, or just the last week, actually, and you heard what I did. This was a really fun thing.
Okay.
But we've had people, our admins, talking about, renting a 20-bedroom mansion somewhere off Airbnb and flying people in and having a sort of a week or 2 week or 3 week long retreat.
Wow.
But my idea in particular is that yes, we're not going to have cars, but I'll have a van that will hold everybody, and we're going to practice going out into the real world where the challenges are and learning how to cope with them.
How awesome.
You know, going to restaurants and learning what to order and what not to order, going grocery shopping and showing what to eat, what not to eat, how to cook, going to fast food restaurants and doing what I was talking about with McDonald's, you know, if you find yourself there. So, and going to events, like going out to museums or something like that, where, you know, how do you deal with that and cope with that? Well, actually do it. Yeah. So
good idea.
These are the kinds of things that we've been thinking about in the group lately.
Yeah. So one of the things that you did, Carl, was you hosted an event for 5 strangers from your local community, 6 strangers from your local community. So tell us what happened.
Yeah, sure. I've had a lot of local Facebook friends, and these weren't strangers. They were either people that I've been friends with in the past or have fallen out of touch with, or, you know, they're people who know me. Yeah. And they're local people who see my posts on Facebook and they take interest. Sure. And so what I wanted to do was originally host a sort of a bigger, maybe for 100 people, dinner and lecture at a local place, and I tried to get that going, and it just seemed like it wasn't happening. And then I had a Google form, you know, that I put up. I said, here's what I want to do, and I need to charge money for this because there's going to be food involved and my time and all of that stuff. I can't do it for free. But it won't cost more than, you know, dinner out, so don't worry about it. Yeah. And then what I decided to do is do it at my house. Okay. Because it's sort of personal. I can do it with a small group. Sure. And I figured 6 would be a good group because they can all, you know, take turns talking. It wouldn't be like, oh, we have to stop question time now and move on, you know. Yeah. And so these were all friends, and I think I charged $50, and I put together a 23-page booklet that sort of outlines the topics that our first set of podcasts did, you know, all of the things that you need to think about in pretty concise language. And then we made Carl's Head Pizza. Wow. Yeah. So I bought a bunch of toppings. I found if anybody was allergic to anything, turns out one was allergic to shellfish, so we didn't put shrimp on the pizza. Sure. But, you know, we had onions, peppers, mushrooms, Italian sausage, chorizo sausage, bacon. Nice. You know, a ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, of course, and Parmesan.
So this is all on one pizza, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And garlic. Yum. Yeah. And that's it. And I also, you know, the Carl's Head Pizza is where I take the egg out, right? Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, this time I also omitted the cream cheese. Okay. And how did that work out? It's awesome.
So this is just shredded mozzarella and almond flour. Yeah. 2 ingredients. It's a 2-ingredient pizza base.
2 ingredients.
That's more simple than regular pizza bases.
It really is, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Yeah. Yep. I still have to get the ratios right. I think I might need a little more almond flour, but it was basically 1.5 cups of mozzarella for a minute in the microwave, and then 3/4 cup of almond flour. So I got to figure it out, but it came, I'll tell you what, it came out pretty good. And I did this on a pizza stone too. So 500-degree oven with a pizza stone in it. I rolled out the dough between 2 pieces of parchment paper and put it in for just like 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes, just to crisp the bottom up, which I then took out, flipped over, and that became the top. Nice. Yep. Yeah, and then we topped it all and put it back in for maybe 5 minutes, and it was crispy and pizza-y delicious. Delicious. Well, you guys know, everybody's made the Fathead Pizza by now.
And if you haven't, make it. It's awesome.
Yeah. But it was really great because people brought their fears of fat. You know, people still think that fruit is okay. Yeah. And you have to tell them that, you know, it's interesting. And I learned this from Robert Lustig. When you eat a piece of fruit, there is fiber in there that slows things down. Sure. However, fruit sugar, fructose, the stuff in high fructose corn syrup,
Yeah.
isn't like glucose. Glucose gets metabolized and provides energy to all your cells. Fructose goes right to your liver and gets stored as fat. You don't use it for energy.
Yeah. It's incredible.
And what's crazy is that people will eat an apple. Why are you eating an apple? Oh, I need some energy. Well, guess what? You ain't getting it.
Well,
it's going right to fat.
It's like 60% fructose and 40% glucose. So you're still getting some glucose.
That's table sugar, isn't it? Or is there some glucose in an apple?
Of 100 grams of an apple, 10 grams of sugar of one kind or another. And of that sugar, I think it's 30% is glucose, 60% is fructose, and then 10% is sucrose, which is table sugar.
So it's really not a good balance of sugars.
No,
No.
it's not. But it's mostly fructose, and as you say, all has to be metabolized in the liver. Your other cells don't know what to do with fructose. They can't do anything with it, so it has to get back to the liver, and then the liver's got to deal with it, and the liver's going to turn it into triglycerides. It's going to turn it into fat.
Right. And there you go. So this is what fruit is for. It's for fat storage. For it's summertime. You need to put on some fat so that you can survive the winter.
Yeah, well, that's when you think about it, fruit only ripens for a short time right at the end of summer. And
that's only if you live in a temperate climate, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I suppose if you live in a tropical climate where you have fruit all year round, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But so the moral of the story is I felt like giving back. I did a little bit of work to put this document together. Everybody was really surprised. One guy said, I've lost weight by stopping the gorging. He said he gets up in the morning, drinks coffee, doesn't eat lunch, and eats a sensible dinner, but he's hungry all the time. Right. And I said, well, then that's probably because your carbohydrates are too high. And I told him all about insulin and all that stuff. And he's like, well, you answered my question. I know what I'm going to do now. And here's the other thing. Yeah. We made these pizzas, right?
Yep.
And after we ate, everybody had a couple slices. I said, now, how many people are getting full? And just about everybody raised their hand. And I said, now, if this was a regular pizza, would you still be full? And they were like, oh, heck no. I'd eat that whole thing.
Exactly.
So they already got a taste of how eating healthy food satiates them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that could have been their first keto meal for some of these people.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is incredible. So do you have any plans to follow up with these people?
Yeah. And like, just like the disclaimer that we said, I'm not a keto coach. I'm not a doctor, and neither is Richard.
No,
and, can't tell you about your medications and all of that stuff, but definitely keep in touch and let us know how you're doing. That's for sure. And, I think we're going to see them in the Facebook group soon, and I'm going to do this on a regular basis. So, it's usually on Sunday nights, and, We'll see how it goes.
Well, you really need to do this in your community because we've set ourselves a really big goal in New London, Connecticut. Yeah. We're going to turn that whole town keto in July.
That's right.
And so we need lots of people locally to buy into the whole idea. So this is all part of the pre-advance planning for Keto Fest, which is where we're really going to give back.
Yeah, we figured we'd save a few lives first before we had a festival.
Give people something to party about.
Yeah, it's really just very, very, very rewarding. Oh, I also one of the women who came. There was 5 women and 1 man, and the man was the husband of one of the women. So one of the women said that she doesn't think she could ever give up chocolate, and I said, well, just you wait till dessert.
Oh yeah, what'd you have for
because
dessert?
I made the chocolate mousse.
Oh, nice.
And I made it 2 ways: one with Swerve as a sweetener, and one with xylitol as a sweetener.
Cool.
Yeah, and they loved it. And then we talked about bread, and she said, "Oh, I can't give up bread." I said, "All right, I'm gonna pop a piece of Mahler's in the toaster and toast it up nice for you."
Yeah.
And did you like that? And she's like, "Oh yeah, that was great." All right, so you've had pizza, you've had toast with butter, and you've had chocolate. Any questions?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just great. It's great. So like Richard said, we're planning to do this Keto Fest in 2017. in New London, Connecticut. And if you want to sign up for more information as events occur and as news unfolds, go to ketofest.com and just add your name and email address.
Yeah.
And we totally encourage you, listener, who have had success with the ketogenic diet, to do something like this in your community.
Yeah.
And give back, because it's so hard to know that people have the answer to their health problems right under their nose, and they're being given bad advice. Case in point, our friend who we won't name by name, who's a type 1 diabetic.
Right.
We're going to have him on the show, but his story broke my heart. He was a type 1 diabetic and was on insulin and the whole 9 yards, and went, after he was getting sicker and sicker following their standard diet.
Sure.
He talked to this nutritionist who said something about, oh, that low carb diet that you mentioned? Yeah, maybe you ought to do that. I don't know. That might be a good idea. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
But she was very guarded about it. And then he did it, and he had success to the point where he got off insulin.
Wow.
Type 1 diabetic,
Type
right?
1. So he was still obviously making just a little bit, because you got to have some.
Yeah. And his reaction was both elation and he was absolutely irate.
Yeah.
And he went to this, because why didn't they tell me this? And he went to this nutritionist or medical professional, I can't remember what she was. And he said, why didn't you tell me this? And she evaded the question.
Yeah.
And he said, is it because you can't? And then she just sort of winked at him like, she can't.
It's incredible.
That's so freaking wrong.
Yeah. Well,
it just makes me mad.
We've got doctors in Australia who are being barred from talking at all about nutrition. And these are doctors who part of their job is sawing off the legs of diabetics, sawing off legs that have become gangrenous, and they can't talk to these people about a dietary intervention that has been shown to reverse the progression of that disease. Gary Fettke, exactly.
So you want to learn that story, listen to Mad as Hell.
Oh, yeah. That'll get you upset, that one.
Yeah, this same woman who wanted chocolate and toast told me that her doctor told her not to go on the ketogenic diet. And when she asked why, because her organs would starve without carbohydrates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is an incredible degree of ignorance.
Yes,
it really is.
And so, this is our next T-shirt. Change your doctor or change your doctor.
Oh, yeah. You really, I tell you what, when you find a good doctor, word spreads. I was on a low carb forum on Facebook, not ours, but it was a local one in Australia, Low Carb Down Under. And somebody was talking about a wonderful doctor that they had in Canberra. And I just moved to Canberra at the time, and I was looking for a GP recommendation, and she gave me the recommendation, and I went to see her. And this new doctor of mine, she's been wonderful. She doesn't do a lot of low carb stuff. She does mostly fasting and mostly the Michael Moore sort of 5-2 diet stuff. But she's all across the new information, and she was very proactive, and she's been very helpful to help me find strategies to lower my basal insulin. So really, it's wonderful when you do get a good doctor, but that may be just one way of paying it forward is let other people know good general practitioners in your area, because
and that's exactly what happened last night. Was one of these women said, "Who's your doctor?" And I told her, and she says, "That's my doctor too."
Wow!
So how cool is that? Now you're actually building a local network,
right? And
you're encouraging that doctor, because now that doctor is going to see more patients who are having success with this, and is going to grow more confident in recommending ketogenic diet as a therapy. And now you've got a group for people to come to, and for support. It's a wonderful thing.
That's outstanding. So tell me about this Keto Fest that we're going to do. We've got the mayor on board.
The mayor basically said anything that you can do or anybody can do to make people healthier is less of a strain on our budget for ambulance rides and healthcare. And just from a financial point of view, and also, keeps them alive and in the town longer, of course, improves quality of life. It's a no-brainer for the mayor. And he said, if you want a letter, from the mayor's office that you can give to, hotels, restaurants, any places in town. You just name it, and I'll write it.
How good is that?
And he says, actually, if you write it up, I'll review it and sign it. So how cool is that?
So you've spoken to a couple of restaurants. That you've got a friend who runs a pizzeria, a brick pizzeria, and you've made fathead pizzas there, right?
Yes, that's right. Not only that, but there's a makerspace in town that has a big kitchen. And I'm equipping them with video equipment and all of that stuff, and a big screen so that people can stand around the kitchen that holds maybe 60, 70 people, and they don't have to be right up on the cooking. They can sort of see what's going on.
Nice.
And not only that, but the guy from the pizza restaurant said, hey, I'll buy fathead crusts pre-made for $3 each.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I could create a job for somebody who wants to learn how to make these things and supply them. And he says, hey, as long as people are buying them, I don't care. And it's a certified kitchen, so that's great. We have some of our guests, our noted guests, have already said that they want to come and
some
speak.
of our guests from the podcast have heard about it and they're up for it, so they're going to come and we're going to. I think we've got a theatre, an old theatre, with a stage and a screen. Yeah,
it is old in terms of age, but it's been totally restored. Right. It's a vaudeville theatre and it holds about 2,000 people, I think, maybe 1,400, something like that. And so we have a big stage. There's a 60-foot movie screen. Now, this is all in the planning stage right now, so getting the details together. We want to have an outdoor party, like at least one. We want to have a lot of social meeting space.
We want to cook some pig. We want to cook
some pig, yeah. Yeah, exactly. A pig roast, so to speak. But we'll also have beef for those that don't eat pork. But the idea is, meat, bacon, and meeting. Meat and meat.
Meat. And of course, we've got a lot of the restaurants in town are getting interested, so we're going to try and get a lot of them to offer keto options on their menus. And
a lot of them already do. There's a place called Hot Rods that, their specialty is wings. And they have 20 sauces, and it's a family-run local place. It's not a chain.
Nice.
There's a coffee shop right across from the parade where we want to have the outdoor pig roast, where they're on board. They'll do whatever they want, bulletproof coffee or whatever, or Zorn shakes.
Outstanding.
Passion fruit tea with heavy whipped cream, yeah. So there's just, more and more people are getting interested all the time.
Plus, there's a lot of musicians involved as well. So we're going to have festival events and it's going to be a great. It's going to be. I'm flying all the way from Australia to join this, so it's going to be great.
So then the next thing that I alluded to that we've been thinking about is having these retreats, and the whole idea is that and if you think about, all right, you guys are selling out, you're making money off of this, and that's not good. Absolute power corrupts. Come on, $50, right? So my answer to that is all of this information we give away freely on this podcast.
Pretty much,
it's all on the internet. It's all there. Obviously, they're not paying for access to the information. No. They're paying because they learn best by having an experience.
Yeah.
And if they didn't find it valuable, they wouldn't pay for it.
Right.
It's very simple. So when I put the feelers out there, people were very happy to pay $50, which is what you'd pay at a nice restaurant for a nice meal. And at the same time, you're meeting other people that are in the same boat as you, and you're learning a lot.
Yeah.
So, it's worth it to people. And also, science has shown that people tend to value things more when they pay for them.
Yes,
and it's that simple.
It is that simple.
They're invested now. They don't waste their $50, so they're going to try this thing.
Yeah, So the other thing that occurs to me that's useful to do is to start. People can start a blog about their experiences, which is something that we've done this week. We started our own blog. You can go to blog.2keto.com, and we've just started putting posts up there about our experiences. And you're more than welcome, of course, to share to share our blog posts. But why not start a blog of your own? That's
Absolutely.
it's well worth it.
Richard, what do you think about us moving our recipes from our personal blogs over to the Two Keto Dudes blog? Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that might be better.
It'll take a bit of time to get them over there, but but we'll do them one at a time, and that'll be a good idea. Yeah.
So if you're interested in any of these things and there's any way we can help or give you some more information, just send us email, dudes@twoketodudes.com. Join our Facebook group, fb.2keto.com. Follow us on Twitter @2ketodudes, Instagram 2ketodudes. And, geez, I think that's just about it. You could send a carrier pigeon note, I suppose.
Squab.
Old school. Squab. Hey, man, that brings us to
Recipes!
You say you're due for a little
Recipes.
We are known for our recipes.
We are.
And you can get them all at recipes.2keto.com.
You can. Now, I've been on a bent lately doing vegetable recipes, and today is no exception.
All right.
One of the textures that I've been missing since I started keto is the texture of noodles. It's always nice to have spaghetti or noodles, And sure, there's shirataki or miracle noodles or konjac noodles, all the same thing. But they have that sort of slimy texture. But what would be nice is to have a texture of a noodle that is to the tooth, that has that al dente feeling. And I've worked out a way to do it.
Really?
I use and I do it with it, and they're not zoodles. You can make noodles out of zucchini.
I tried that once.
They're okay, but they fall apart pretty easily. But I found a vegetable noodle that holds up to heat, so I can cook it. I cooked it up today in a soup, for example, in a pork stock soup.
Wow.
So what I do is I use a daikon radish, which is a large radish, it's the shape and size of a very large carrot, a massive carrot, maybe 2 foot long. And what you do is you cut it into 1 foot segments and use a mandolin with a julienne attachment to slice it up. You can use a knife if you want; it'll just take longer. But a mandolin slices it up pretty easily. So what you end up with, and a radish obviously is white. It actually has 4 grams of carbohydrates per 100 grams. So it's about 4% carbohydrate. So it's pretty low for a vegetable.
Yeah.
And now I find that about 50 grams of this radish works for a plate. And so you're talking about 2 grams of carbohydrate, which is pretty reasonable, That's
great.
So what I do is I use a mandolin to slice up the radish, and
that makes a wide noodle, right?
It makes a very wide noodle. Yeah, I make it. They're almost soba style noodles, and so they hold up really well in soups. And what I do is after I've mandolined the noodle, I rub it with a bit of salt, and that draws out a little bit of the moisture from it, and then I put it in a pan with butter. So I've got a pan with butter, and
God bless Paula Deen, man. She gets such a bad rap, but it's not the butter that's the problem with her recipes, is it?
I know, right? So I just fry it up in it like a 50 grams of daikon radish turned into noodles. Maybe I'd use half a teaspoon of salt. It's not a lot of salt, just to draw a bit of the moisture out. Let it sit for a bit, and then I put it in a pan with maybe a tablespoon of butter that's melted. And I fry it, and basically you can add garlic to it if you want, or ginger, or whatever flavors you want to end up in. In this case, in my soup, it was a pork soup, so I used ginger, which is a nice combination.
Nice.
Yeah, so they hold up really well to the tooth, and they don't have a crispy radish texture to them. It's more like a noodle, really. And so that's my trick, is how to turn a vegetable into noodles.
I love it. It's interesting, Richard, because I also am bringing a pork stock soup to the table today.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's Carl's pork and bean soup.
Nice.
Now, beans. I thought you couldn't have beans on a ketogenic diet. Well, guess what, kids? Have you ever heard of black soybeans?
Yeah.
Yeah, black soybeans are only 1 gram of carbohydrate per half a cup.
And yet they have that beanie texture.
They're beanies.
Wow.
They're beans. Yeah. So here's what you do. You start with pork stock. And I make it by going to the grocery store and getting a package of ham hocks, smoked ham hocks.
I used ham hock stock for this soup tonight. So,
Yeah.
okay, I'm with you on that.
You're right with me. All right. So 6 ham hocks is about $5 in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
And basically, you put those in a crock pot with 3 or 4 crushed garlic cloves and half a cup of tomato sauce, and fill the rest up with water.
Yeah.
You want to hold off on salting because they're already salty and smoky.
Yep.
If you want to put some fresh oregano and sage in there, that's fine too.
And bay leaf would be good. Yep.
Bay leaf would be good. And you can use a crock pot all day, or you can use a pressure cooker for 2 hours, 2 1-hour cycles.
Sure. Yeah.
Then what I do is I transfer that to a soup pot and I chop up celery and optionally fennel. Fennel goes really, really well with pork.
Yeah.
Into small pieces and saute those in a fry pan with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I get about a pound of sweet Italian sausage and crumble that in a pan and fry that. And you're going to fry that
get it
in
all crispy.
oil and get it crispy. Get some fond on there. Get some brown edges, because that's going to taste really, really good in your soup. So you add that and the veggies and all along with the beans and the tomato sauce, and you just, mix it all together, and you can cook it down a little bit if you want it. Now salt and pepper to taste. If you want a little more oregano, sage, bay leaf, whatever, that's fine. Now here's what you do. When you go to serve it, you're going to serve it with fresh spinach. So you're going to take baby spinach, maybe a small handful, and put it on top and stir it around and let it just sort of wilt a little bit, and then you serve it. So the hot soup actually cooks the baby spinach just enough so that it's cooked, but it still has that fresh taste.
Nice.
And then you top the whole thing with some shredded Parmesan cheese. There you go. That's good stuff.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. So, but the star of the show is the beans. If you want to use beans for chili or anything else, black soybeans, and you can get them on Amazon. We'll post a link to it.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of people don't like soy because of phytoestrogens, or a lot of soy is GMO, but my attitude is I eat soy in a lot of cases. I'll eat edamame, I'll eat soy sauce, I will eat soybean-based noodles, and I don't eat a lot of them. If you look at all of the food that I eat during a month, I might have a soy meal once or twice in a month.
Yeah, me too.
So, compared to a standard American diet, which you don't even know it, but most of that food has got soy in it because it's one of the cheapest sources of carbohydrates. So
exactly. Also, you got to know that soy has gluten. So if you're gluten free, you probably want to avoid the black soybeans.
Okay.
But
cool.
there you go.
To know.
So that's the show, Richard.
Of course, if you have anything that you want to tell us, something we said wrong, something that you don't agree with, or some more research that you found to support or even refute what we've said, send it by email to dudes@twoketodudes.com or post it on our website.
And you can also join our Facebook page, as we said before, at fb.2keto.com.
Yeah.
You can find our recipes at recipes.2keto.com. You can find links to the ketogenic diet and science behind it at links.2keto.com. You can go to our blog at blog.2keto.com and follow us on Twitter at 2KetoDudes, Instagram 2KetoDudes. Hey, keep calm and keto on.
Keep calm and keto on, Carl.
And we'll see you next time on 2 Keto Dudes.